There's nothing worse than fighting a god. They're powerful, they're usually mean, and they often seem to want to destroy everything and everyone in some capacity. But no matter what, whenever these evil gods go on a rampage, there's always a hero ready to rise up and stop them. Today, we're looking at anime heroes who have done the impossible and defeated powerful gods. So let's get into it right now. Father was already a pretty powerful foe before reaching god status in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. He was the oldest homunculus and responsible for creating the rest of those troublesome homunculi, so already we'd throw him in the don't mess with category. He wants to obtain perfection, which we all know never amounts to anything good, and he'll do anything in his immense power to achieve it. And he certainly came a long way. Starting off as nothing more than a tiny round ball of gas with a Mike Wazowski eye, he soon grew into the most powerful threat in the world. Through his evil schemes, Father is able to open the gate of truth and absorb the power of God within his own body, giving him an insane, unstable power boost. But even a god is no match for Edward Elric. Okay, well, Ed actually had a lot of help in beating this god, with Al sacrificing himself so that Ed could get his other arm back, and Greed turning on Father once absorbed within him and turning Father's body into the easily breakable graphite. In an epic moment, Ed punches a hole through Father's chest, ending this menace once and for all. Light Yagami is a monster and a tough protagonist to root for, but he did manage to kill a Shinigami, which is no small feat. The death god Rem was the other main Shinigami in the Death Note anime and was a stark contrast to the lovable nightmare Ryuk. Yes, they both look terrifying, but their personalities are almost the exact opposite. Ryuk is amused by the human world and all it has to offer, while Rem seems to hate everything and everyone in it. Well, it's not entirely true, as the one person she seems not to despise is Misa, and it's this relationship that Light exploits to get what he wants and kill Rem in the process. The way to kill a Shinigami is to have them kill in order to extend a life that wasn't supposed to be extended. Rem comes to care immensely for Misa and would do anything to protect her, so Light purposefully puts Misa in danger, and Rem is ultimately tricked into writing Watari's name, as well as L's real name in the Death Note, to protect Misa. With that, Light is victorious over his greatest enemy, and a god of death is killed in the process. That is a big win-win. The Supreme Kai apprentice Zamasu probably has the most awesome defeats of anyone on this list. Yes, that's right, defeats, as in plural. Because really, when time travel is involved, does anyone ever really stay dead? Zamasu's biggest problem, besides his desperate need of a haircut, was that he didn't see much value in mortals. In the Future Trunks saga, once the good guys expose his evil plan, Zamasu tries to attack Goku with an energy blade, because that always goes well for everyone. But it isn't Goku who stops him, but rather Beerus, the god of destruction, who instead of simply punching him in the face, proceeds to erase Zamasu from existence. Remind us never to get on Beerus' bad side. But because this all happened in an alternate future, there's still another Zamasu running around. You see, still alive are a future Zamasu from Future Trunks' alternate timeline, as well as Goku Black, who's just Zamasu from the past. Yeah, it's confusing. Let's just say right now that besides Beerus erasing Zamasu from existence, the second coolest Zamasu defeat was when Future Trunks fights a fused Zamasu and stabs him with a sword right before cleaving him in two. The Skypiea arc in One Piece brought Luffy into conflict with Enel, a psychopath with a huge god complex. Like, we're talking massive. Like as big as CBR will be in another year. Yeah, it's that big. Enel thinks himself a divine and immortal being who's allowed to do and destroy whatever he pleases. It's shocking to see how little he cares about human life, because if you really are a god, why should such a thing like humanity affect you at all? Well, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that this sort of mad dictator needs to be stopped, and that's exactly what Luffy and his crew did. The Straw Hats arrived on the Sky Island of Skypiea looking for gold, but found the insane Enel instead. An epic fight took place with a final battle that saw Enel wanting to destroy all of Skypiea and everyone in it. With his usual Luffy levels of determination, Luffy defeats Enel by grabbing onto a cloud and slingshotting a gold ball directly into his face, sending Enel flying right into the gold bell. An act that symbolizes the war the Skypieans were fighting was officially over. Watch out for golden balls, because they're a force to be reckoned with. Bleach's Sosuke Aizen is a Shinigami much like Ryuk in Death Note, who looks slightly less zombie-ish, but on first meeting Sosuke, we don't think much of him. He's just a mild-mannered nerd with the kind of glasses that would have gotten him a wedgie in high school. Who would have guessed that this dweeb would turn out to be an incredibly powerful villain capable of pulling off one of the best anime twists of all time? He does what every good bad guy ought to do, which is to operate from the shadows, plant doubt among the other characters, fake his own death to really throw off suspicion, and blame someone else. And when he revealed himself to be the villain, he no longer was that same geeky caterpillar we all had loved, but rather an evil butterfly. He didn't wear glasses anymore, and he swept back his hair with a single strand now hanging down on his face. The classic villain look. But now that he revealed himself, Aizen needed to be stopped, so after battling for a long time, Ichigo and Urahara were finally able to stop this god, using a Kido seal and then locking him up for all of his crimes. Not many people get to say they've defeated gods, but the ones that do generally do so with their strength, courage, and quick wit. Yeah, not in this case. Joseph Joestar from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was one of the many members of the Joestar family to be known as Jojo, and his battle with the evil Cars is one of legend, but not in a good way. The final fight was actually hilarious. While attacking Jojo, Cars throws a mighty blow, but Jojo accidentally throws up the Red Stone of Aja. When Cars' attack collides with the stone, it jumpstarts a volcano that ends up shooting Cars into space. Cars thinks that Jojo planned all of this, and Jojo plays along, although he secretly admits it's all just dumb luck. After he's blasted into space, Cars attempts to fly back, but quickly freezes, and there's more bad news. Cars can't die, and our handy narration tells us that he became a half-mineral, half-animal, and floated through space forever. The most brutal line reveals that Cars constantly wished for death, but since he couldn't die and was stuck floating for all eternity, he eventually just stopped thinking. Wow, that is a dark ending, and we'd expect nothing less from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Sure, Duel Monsters is just a card game in spirit, but if terrifying, powerful creatures like Slifer the Sky Dragon, Obelisk the Tormentor, and the Winged Dragon of Ra were standing in front of you, you'd be scared for your life, card game or not. And those three are some of the strongest cards in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! They're one-of-a-kind cards with unparalleled power. In fact, a lot of the anime revolves around Yugi's journey to eventually acquire them. You could say Yugi and the Pharaoh's quest to obtain the three cards counts as defeating them, but there's a better example. Once he has all three of the god cards, among a few other things, the Pharaoh that's been Yugi's spiritual roommate for so long can finally move on to the afterlife. But to do so, he needs to be defeated in battle. Of course, the best person to duel the Pharaoh is Yugi himself. So the two split into two physical bodies and begin to duel with each other, both of them trying their hardest. The Pharaoh summons all three gods and forces Yugi to find a way to defeat all three of them. Don't worry, he succeeds, and the Pharaoh is finally able to move on. Queen Beryl from Sailor Moon is probably the least likable queen ever, and we can't prove it, but we're pretty sure that she didn't win her crown through democracy and peace. It's a working theory, but any place called the Dark Kingdom doesn't sound like it has proper voting and election regulations. Although she's not technically a god, her powers and abilities make her pretty close to one in our books. Her ultimate goal is to find the Silver Crystal, take over the world, and revive the evil energy being known as Queen Materia. Anyone who got in her way would be condemned to eternal sleep, which actually sounds quite appealing for all of us millennials out there. After many clashes with Sailor Moon, the two eventually duke it out in one final epic battle. When Queen Beryl is wounded severely, Queen Materia possesses her body and turns her into Super Beryl, which makes her bigger, badder, and greener. But luckily, Sailor Moon had some tricks up her sleeve as well, as she turned into Princess Serenity and, along with the spirits of deceased friends, was able to vanquish the two evil queens, presumably giving the Dark Kingdom a chance to reevaluate their political system. When we met Noragami's Yato, he's this mischievous, wild presence who considers himself a god of fortune, even though he's been called a god of calamity and depression in the past. He has a simple dream of becoming a famous god, one that everyone worships, sorta like Keanu Reeves. But Yato wasn't always this goofy guy. In the past, he was way more ruthless and cruel. He thought of killing as nothing more than a game to enjoy. Although he's seen the error of his ways, not every god of calamity has undergone such a conversion. Enter Robbo, another god of calamity who coldly executes anyone without an ounce of remorse or second thought. This puts Robbo and Yato at odds, and how else are two gods supposed to work out their issues other than a sword fight? It isn't an easy battle, but in the end, Yato's just quicker and slices him down. If any of you are sad for Robbo, you'll be happy to know that he got what he ultimately wanted. Robbo tells Yato as he dies that gods of calamity are always forgotten, and admits that he wanted to be killed by Yato because Yato knew him. Aw, that's kinda sweet in a forget this guy is actually evil sort of way. We all know there's nothing more important than friendship, and a lot of anime goes out of its way to express how vital friendship is in everyday life. But has there ever been a more epic moment than in Fairy Tail when Natsu stresses the importance of friends while he prepares to completely obliterate one of the 18 battle gods with one fiery punch? We don't think so. And boy did this god look fierce. He seemed roughly a bajillion feet tall, swung around a sword that was practically bigger than he was, and broke apart what looked like miles of ground every time he struck something. If this god were summoned near us, we wouldn't even try to run because there's no way someone could escape this thing. Luckily, Natsu was feeling especially passionate during this fight. Even though he looked like an ant, he ran up the god's sword and body, which must have taken about the same amount of time as climbing Mount Everest, and then proceeded to shout about how friendship makes him strong while delivering his Fire Dragon King Destruction Fist, practically causing the god to shatter into a million pieces. Rumor has it, fragments of this once mighty god are still being found to this day. When making a list about heroes who beat gods, it's a given to include the anime that's about a hero defeating gods. This list could be filled with moments from Saint Seiya, but we wanted to spread the love a bit. Man, does our hero Pegasus Seiya fight a bunch of gods or what? He punches gods like it's his job, and guess what? It is! Seiya is one of Athena's 88 mythical warriors known as saints who protect peace and justice on Earth while serving her. Throughout the series, he clashes with countless gods and makes them go crying home to their mommies. He makes Thanatos, the god of death, wish he were dead. He blasts Mars, the god of war, all the way back to Mars. He stops Saturn, the god of time, in his tracks, just to name a few. Yeah, he's that tough and deserves more recognition for all that he's accomplished. If you haven't seen this anime in a while, go back and check it out. But good luck figuring out the proper viewing order for the series and films in this franchise. Sure, Persona 5 the animation is like the watered-down Tab Cola to Persona 5 the game's Coca-Cola, but it doesn't mean the anime doesn't have a few awesome moments, mainly the ending when Ren shoots a god in the face. Okay, the situation is a little more complicated than that. When the Phantom Thieves set out to steal the Holy Grail from inside mementos to basically change public opinion about them, they run into a bit of a complication. The Holy Grail turns out to be sentient and wants to control all of mankind and rule over their cognition. You know, classic Holy Grail stuff. So now the Phantom Thieves have to band together and save the world from the Holy Grail, who reveals itself to be Yaldabaoth, a god representing humanity's sloth. And everyone knows the only way to beat a villain this powerful is with an ultimate persona. They summon Sataniel and proceed to blow a hole right through Yaldabaoth's head. The day is saved, and humanity's faith and cognition of the Phantom Thieves is restored. Yeah, but this also happened in the game as well, and we recommend just playing that instead of watching this anime. You're welcome. With as epic of a movie title like Inuyasha the movie Fire on the Mystic Island, you better expect there to be an awesome threat, and boy did that movie deliver. After its time barrier weakened, 4 powerful demons known as the 4 War Gods attacked the island of Horajima, and it was up to Inuyasha and his pals to stop them. Each of these gods was based on the 4 celestial animals, so the good guys were basically facing a giant dragon, a giant phoenix, a giant tiger, and a giant turtle. All 4 would be great attractions at your local zoo, but we doubt that it'd end well for anyone. Inuyasha does the heavy lifting by taking out 2 of the 4 fearsome gods, but the others do their share of weightlifting as Sesshomaru defeats one and Sango defeats the other. They're all pretty epic fights, but which one would you rather fight in this situation? We'd go with the giant turtle, because everyone knows turtles are slow, so it wouldn't be able to chase you, but that's besides the point. Any movie adaptation of an anime should up the stakes in incredible ways, and Fire on the Mystic Island delivered on all fronts. Most heroes take a long time to kill gods, but not Godot in Campione. He was lucky enough to take out a god in the very first episode of his anime. And it wasn't this big, pre-planned event, he just kind of fell right into it. While traveling in Sardinia, Godot is attempting to return a stone tablet given to him by his grandfather to his former owner. It's there he meets a knight of the Copper Black Cross named Erica, and he falls into a battle with a rogue Persian god named Varathragna. Talk about a rough day. Although Varathragna looks like a 15-year-old boy, he's a fierce warrior whose ideal Saturday night probably involves going out and finding someone to fight. Anyway, Varathragna sets his sights on Godot, but using his magical and fancy stone tablet, Godot is able to steal Varathragna's own golden sword and use it to kill him. If that wasn't enough, by killing the god, Goddo automatically becomes an official Campione, or a god slayer, whose duty it is to fight and kill other gods. Well, that's one way to find a new job. The AntiSpirals and Gurren Lagann are powerful, mysterious, deadly, and the last people you want to be stuck with talking to at a party. Their goal is pretty simple. They want to stop the apocalyptic event known as Spiral Nemesis from destroying everything, so they purged themselves of all their spiral power and made it their mission to purge the rest of the universe of spiral power as well. The result is them becoming these white humanoid creatures that lack individual identity. Sure, they may not be gods in the traditional sense, but when a final battle includes a literal galaxy-sized robot fight, yeah, that's pretty close to godhood in our books. They're also depicted as being omniscient and omnipresent, freely appearing anywhere in space and time, and can fundamentally alter the laws of reality, which are like the major qualifications for any true god. But even gods can't stand up to the awesome might that is a giant robot and mankind's unbreakable determination. Our heroes, led by Simone, mount an incredible defense against the AntiSpirals, and through a lot of fighting, sacrifice, galaxy throwing, and good old-fashioned elbow grease, they're able to defeat these gods. Not too bad for a kid who grew up underground. Well, that's our video of our favorite anime characters who have killed gods. What do you think? Who else should be included on this list? Go ahead and let us know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to CBR for more awesome anime content. Thanks for watching.